Tonight, a bloody brawl in Perth's east leaves 2 people in hospital and a dog injured. Forensics called to Cloverdale.
Cattle on the move as the livestock ship remains stuck in limbo. Hundreds of animals taken into quarantine.
Fears of escalation. The Pentagon strikes Iran-backed militias over the deaths of 3 US soldiers.
Football Australia hit with another cyber leak. Young players to elite athletes, personal details laid bare.
Remembering Carl Weathers, the actor who played Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies, dead at 76.
And a Dog's Day out for West Coast. The Eagles crown their canine champion in the Stevie Simpson Cup.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Tim McMillan and Angela Tsun.
Good evening. It's been a violent night in Perth's east. 2 people had to be rushed to hospital and a dog was left injured after a bloody brawl in Cloverdale.
It's believed knives and blades were used in the attack. As Lockie Byrne reports, forensic officers are tonight trying to piece the puzzle together.
A late night run-in, leaving police and locals scrambling for answers.
To find out that, possibly machetes and knives are this area, I mean, let's be honest, Belmont Cloverdale's not one of the better areas, but it's just very unusual, very strange.
Forensics today making sense of the scrap that's left fences broken and blood spilt. Police believe it unfolded just before 1 a.m. on Q Street. They say 4 men, 1 woman and a dog was involved. An altercation broke out. The woman in her 60s received a cut to her arm. The dog was injured, a cut to its face. 1 man in his 20s with serious lacerations to his head. He fled, stumbling away. Where he went, marked out with a trail of blood this morning. He was found 400 metres down the road on Belgravia Street. Both he and the woman were taken by ambulance to hospital. Police officers rushed the dog to an emergency vet. This morning, police had taken a man in his 40s into custody. He was questioned and released without charge. Investigations tonight continuing. Lockie Byrne, 7 News.
Several hundred cattle have been unloaded off the livestock vessel docked at Fremantle Port and taken into quarantine. WA veterinarians and biosecurity officers will now help monitor the animals and manage biosecurity risks as the federal government continues to defend its handling of the ship saga.
Unloaded under the cover of darkness. Following days of backlash, the Federal Department of Agriculture last night finally allowed several hundred livestock to be moved back onto dry land, herded onto trucks and taken to a quarantine facility after 28 heat-stricken days at sea.
We've seen the animals in tight stocking densities and standing in soft and thick faeces. They're not optimal conditions.
It's now day 6 the ship has been stranded off the WA coast after it was forced to return to Australia over fears of Houthi rebel attacks. The unloading comes after an application to re-export the animals to Israel via a safer route. But it's a longer journey and it means stock on board must be reduced. That application now in the hands of the federal government, who say they're still making a decision.
If the department were dead keen to do the right thing by these sheep, they would have made certain that they'd notified the exporter and got that piece of paper, that application, on their desk. Now, this is just looking for scapegoats for a blithering catastrophe on the part of bureaucracy.
The fate of the animals still on board the Bahija remains unknown. If the ship does go to Israel, it will be the longest live export journey the Department of Agriculture has ever approved.
The science unequivocally shows that the longer those animals are on the ship, the worse their health and welfare outcomes are.
But the department maintains the livestock are in good health, something they and farmers see eye to eye on.
They're in the shade, there's strong ventilation in the pens, they've got all the water they'd like to drink, all the feed they'd like to eat, all within a couple of paces.
The government in deeper water by the day as calls for an outcome continue to rise. Nick Overall, 7 News.
Protesters disrupted operations at Fremantle Port today, replicating similar demonstrations over east. The pro-Palestine group created a blockade along the Napier Road entrance to the harbour. They target Zim Shipping, Israel's largest import and export company. A large police presence kept an eye on the group. Officers made 2 arrests late this afternoon.
American bombers have struck scores of targets in Iraq and Syria in a first wave of retaliatory air attacks. The strikes answer last weekend's deadly drone attack that killed 3 US forces. But many fear the strikes will escalate a war Washington had tried to limit.
For Middle East militias, an answer from America. US B-1 bombers fly 10,000 kilometres from Texas to spearhead the attack, unleashing on fighters and their Iranian trainers in Iraq and Syria. 7 sites attacked, at least 85 targets, command and intelligence centres, drone and ammunition facilities, bunkers, pummeled with more than 125 precision-guided munitions. The assault, just 30 minutes long, hit the elite Iranian Quds force and militias they train, but notably no targets inside Iran itself. 2 hours before the bombers struck, the US president had stood in silence. The bodies of 3 army reservists returned to American soil. The 3 killed as they slept, an Iranian-backed militia drone exploding in their Jordan base. Our response began today, President Biden said in a statement. It will continue at times and places of our choosing. Let all those who might seek to do us harm know this: if you harm an American, we will respond.
This is going to be a long campaign. We're going to bring in all kinds of assets.
President Biden has been under pressure from Republicans here to hit Iran hard. He says he only wants to limit the Mideast conflict, yet today's strikes for now appear to have escalated it. Militias have struck America's Middle East forces 166 times since mid-October. The White House calculating today's strikes will warn them off further attacks. The risk is they fire an even deadlier response.
We are serious. It is time for Iran to back down.
The US says it chose today's targets to minimise civilian casualties, one general here adding, "We hit exactly what we meant to hit." But perhaps the real test of the mission will come in the days ahead when we see whether those attacks on American troops in the Middle East stop. Angela?
Tim, thank you. Anthony Albanese has spent the day campaigning ahead of a crucial by-election, being framed as a referendum on his rewrite of the Stage 3 tax cuts. Victory at the ballot box will be seen as a major tick of approval from voters desperate for cost of living relief.
Stepping up to the mat.
What could go wrong?
Hoping his tax policy backflip will bowl over the opposition. The Prime Minister campaigning in the Melbourne seat of Dunkley, promoting his candidate and his revamp of the Stage 3 tax cuts, giving more to low and middle income earners.
That, I think Australians understand in their guts that that's fair, that that's the right thing to do.
He says it's voters like those in Dunkley who'll benefit most, a mortgage belt seat where the cost of living is biting.
These tax cuts won't hit for another 5 months. This is more about Anthony Albanese holding on to his job.
The by-election, triggered by the death of Peter Murphy, a temperature test on a broken promise.
It's one that people punish you for if they don't like it. But if it's one which says we're going to put more money in your back pocket every payday, that's a broken promise that people can live with.
Confirming he won't be taking that money away, it's now almost a certainty Peter Dutton will back the legislation when it goes before Parliament next week. Unhappy about being wedged over the issue, the Coalition is keen to remind voters they also offered tax relief to low and middle income earners through stages 1 and 2 of the tax reforms.
The last reform was about making sure there was aspiration into the future.
But with 84% of taxpayers set to get a bigger cut, the government hopes it's onto a winner. Voters in Dunkley will let them know on March the 2nd.
Happens to be my birthday. It's also Jim Chalmers' birthday. So don't let us down.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
The highly sensitive and personal information of Pro League soccer players from around the world could be at risk in a second Football Australia data leak. Hackers say the association published its own password online, giving anyone access to valuable player data.
They're the most elite footballers in the world.
It's Leo Messi! Oh, there it is! Ronaldo!
But the personal information of these players could be at risk after yet another Football Australia data breach.
This is a really trivial exposure, but what is exposed is an extremely damaging information leak.
According to cybersecurity expert Jamie O'Reilly, Football Australia unintentionally made public the key to its FIFA Connect account, a system associations use right around the world to exchange and track valuable player information.
The FIFA Connect program helps you to register all your stakeholders in a systematic way.
According to FIFA's own document, that could include passports, even social security and tax numbers of its top players.
Is highly valuable because it can be used for multiple attack types. That suddenly takes it from just an Australian issue to a global issue.
That's not all. The 33-year-old claims access to this account means hackers could potentially manipulate local match results from the inside using the FIFA Connect service, data betting companies rely on.
If you want to do online betting and you're feeding it fake match results, you've controlled the outcome.
And it doesn't end there. If you've ever played soccer in Australia, your data could be out there too. The password for the Play Football database was also exposed, putting the details of millions of children at risk. It's alleged this information was available worldwide for anyone to access for at least 48 hours. It's now been taken down as Football Australia investigates the breach. Telling 7 News we're taking these allegations seriously and that Football Australia is committed to updating its stakeholders. Lucy McLeod, 7 News.
There are frightening pictures out of Queensland after a bus carrying 34 children burst into flames. The coach stopped traffic on a motorway near Dreamworld this morning. Firefighters rushed to douse the flames. All children were evacuated unharmed. The driver was treated in hospital.
An Australian musician has been arrested and charged over a property scam costing dozens of victims millions of dollars. Craig Heath has spent more than a decade evading police, but officers finally caught up with him.
A country singer with the blues. Craig Heath is accused of property scams worth almost $10 million, even against his own mother.
Oh, look, it's as low as it can get.
John Pedder is just one of the 15 alleged victims who were scammed. He was introduced to Mr Heath through a broker and invested with him in 2016.
In total, it was $450,000 we were lending.
The scam was premeditated and elaborate. Even the lawyers who checked the loan contract were fooled.
The lawyers took it on face value, just like we did, that these were not falsified photos and falsified documents.
Mr Heath has been charged with 35 offences, including using false documents and obtaining financial advantage by deception. The victims have each lost between $20,000 and $2.1 million since the investment scam was first reported to police in 2011.
I don't actually feel foolish or gullible in this instance because I thought we'd done all of our due diligence.
Police will allege that last month Mr Heath, who is also a country singer, had begun targeting single women, trying to convince them to invest in property projects.
After his arrest here in Malvern East yesterday, Mr Heath was released on bail. He's due to face the Melbourne Magistrates Court again on Thursday.
Melina Saris, 7 News.
Australian researchers are developing a water sample test that can track shark DNA and to tell whether one is swimming nearby. It's hoped the technology could be used to keep swimmers safe.
Predicting the water conditions is one thing, but what if you could predict the presence of a shark?
I would take notice of it. I would not go in the water.
New research suggests it could be as simple as testing the water for signs of predators. Experts working to detect the DNA of Australia's 3 most problematic shark species, great white, tiger and bull sharks, known to shed their skin. A water sample is collected and tested. If DNA is found, authorities could raise the alarm.
And we've come really far with technology, so why not use it?
What the researchers don't know is how long the DNA may have been in the water.
Could be 10 hours, it could be 10 days, it could be 3 weeks. Yes, you could find out that a shark has been there, but you would have no idea about how long ago.
For some, it's still enough to think twice about a swim.
If there was a shark, no, I wouldn't go in.
Earlier this week, Lauren O'Neill was bitten by a bull shark at Elizabeth Bay.
Maybe I wouldn't go out as deep, but wouldn't change much for me.
Gathering a water sample like this, sending it off for testing and achieving a result could realistically take up to 6 hours, but researchers do hope eventually they'll be able to use a portable detection system that could bring that time down to an hour.
And that's the kind of thing that, we did for COVID, and we developed that rapidly, right, because we needed it.
Grace Fitzgibbon, 7 News.
Mullaloo Beach has reopened after it was closed to swimmers because of a potential algal bloom. Surf lifesavers raised the alarm yesterday. It's the second time in 2 weeks the beach has been closed. Commonly known as sea sawdust, the bacteria is really toxic in the levels found in the ocean, but it can cause skin irritation for swimmers.
Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies, has passed away at the age of 76. The former athlete rose to fame as an action star, but revealed a talent for comedy in movies like Happy Gilmore and Toy Story.
First an athlete, then an actor. Carl Weathers leveraged both to become a Hollywood heavyweight.
Without some damn water fight, then the water, you may as well be dead, stallion.
He rose to fame playing the cocky boxer Apollo Creed in the low-budget film Rocky.
And Apollo Creed.
It went on to win 3 Academy Awards, a springboard to bigger budget movies.
Had enough? Make it easy on yourself, Dutch.
Arnold Schwarzenegger describing his co-star as an extraordinary athlete, a fantastic actor and a great person. We couldn't have made Predator without him. Before acting, he was a linebacker for the Oakland Raiders in the NFL, but at university his major was drama.
Now you're threatening to commit a serious crime, Mr. Buford.
He managed to break away from tough guy roles, discovering a talent for comedy in Happy Gilmore.
Damn alligator bit my hand off.
Oh my God!
Adam Sandler describing him as smart as hell, loyal as hell, and funny as hell.
All you gotta do is tap it in.
He went on to find new audiences in Toy Story.
Combat Carl's learned. You gotta keep moving, or else they find you.
And later in the Star Wars spin-off, The Mandalorian.
Do you want the chip or not?
He received an Emmy for that performance. 76-year-old Carl Weathers died in his sleep at home, an action star who lit up the screen with heft and heart.
You had that eye of the tiger, man, the edge.
Nick Etchells, 7 News.
You're watching 7 News live from Perth.
Coming up, a top WA cop calls it quits. A decorated detective who played a key role in catching the Claremont killer retires from the force.
The murder that rocked Britain, the identities of 2 child killers revealed.
Plus, you need to calm down. The Australian city bracing for a Taylor Swift tourism boom.
And racing, stunt driving and aerobatics, Red Bull's big 2024 launch. That's later.
Detectives need your help to track down a group of thugs wanted over a violent robbery in Fremantle. Police say 2 men tried to steal alcohol after they entered a bottle shop on High Street just after 1 p.m. on Thursday. But the situation escalated when a staff member tried to stop them leaving the store. The worker was attacked before the men fled with alcohol.
A detective who played a key role in the arrest of Claremont killer Bradley Edwards has quit the force. Joe Maripodi's illustrious career saw him make the most famous arrests in WA policing history. He says he's looking forward to the next chapter in his life. He's served more than 30 years in the WA police force.
2 teenagers will spend decades in prison for a murder that has rocked Britain. In a rare move, the identities of the child killers have been revealed. A judge describing their actions as sadistic and exceptionally brutal.
Children under arrest for killing another child.
Pardon?
How come I'm a suspect?
How come you're a suspect?
Because I'm the last person that's seen her, is it?
Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Radcliffe were 15 years old when they murdered Brianna Jai. This is the 16-year-old leaving home for the last time. She met Jenkinson and Radcliffe nearby, believing they were her friends. They led her to a park, stabbing her 28 times. Police found they'd kept a list of serial killers they admired and on a note named their own victim, describing how they would kill her. The court heard they were warped individuals with a fascination for violence and torture.
I'm glad that they've got this guilty verdict and that they are going to get sent down, because I think that there is the potential for them to commit again.
Today, the judge sentenced them to at least 20 years in jail, saying Brianna was killed because she was transgender.
You both took part in a brutal and planned murder, which was sadistic in nature.
Downing Street says the British Prime Minister shared the country's horror at a cowardly and despicable murder. Rishi Sunak appearing to back the decision to name the teenage killers, a controversial but not unprecedented move. English 10-year-olds John Venables and Robert Thompson killed toddler James Bulger in 1993. They were given new identities in jail. Brianna's father called her killers evil monsters. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Kenya's deputy president says those responsible for the deadly gas explosion in the country's capital will be held accountable. 3 people died while nearly 300 others were injured. The truck carrying gas cylinders exploded on Thursday, igniting a huge fireball. The inferno damaged several vehicles, businesses and homes. Emergency services are still searching the ruins for bodies.
A floating sauna has rushed to the rescue of 2 people after their Tesla plunged into icy waters. The electric car became submerged within minutes, the floating sauna arriving just in time, guests on board wearing just towels, pulling the driver and passenger to safety as the car disappeared. It's understood the driver mistakenly hit the accelerator. The car has since been removed by emergency crews.
Aussie celebrities have turned out for the annual G'day USA Gala in Los Angeles. Delta Goodrem was honoured for her contribution to the arts, while actor Samara Weaving was presented the Rising Star Award for her breakthrough roles in Hollywood.
We do succeed, we crush it. Go us. Look at all the success stories, or even just the past recipients of this award.
The star-studded night was hosted by singer-songwriter G-Flip.
After the break, medical miracle.
Cancer survivors say people who donate blood have saved their lives. Next, the compelling case asking more people to give.
Car con and Australian scam victims speaks out over a shocking number plate cloning scam.
Taylor Swift mania, the world's biggest pop star, sparks $1 billion tourism boom.
And supercar celebration, Red Bull's new look for a new era of racing.
Love learning at home? Jump back into the school year with the Sunday Times free Learn at Home posters and make homework fun. Kids will love the bright, colourful designs. There are 2 new posters every week. Start your collection this weekend, only in the Sunday Times.
A third of Australians will need blood in their lifetime, but only 1 in 30 will actually give blood. The Red Cross and Cancer Council are teaming up this month to remind us how giving can truly save lives.
In this place, lifesavers are in abundance. People like Peter, who's donated blood more than 100 times.
Like such a simple act, like you come in, you lie down, they feed you and it's an hour of your day.
Today, platelets are being collected. They're precious, used specifically for treating cancer patients.
The very first thing that they needed to do to help save my life was to give me 6 bags of blood.
Kirsty was 9 years old when her battle began, an adult by the time it ended.
Always needed blood transfusions. Anyone that has been on chemotherapy, most of us will tell you it's part of the process of healing your body.
It's estimated more than 1 million Australians are currently living with or beyond a cancer diagnosis. By 2040, that number will almost double.
Actually, the biggest users of blood donations are in fact cancer patients, but they need it for their treatment, they need it during surgery, they need it to deal with complications from their condition.
100,000 new donors are needed this year alone.
Demand for blood and blood products in December was highest ever. So we collected highest ever, but we had more demand. So that's the problem.
It's kind of a strange thing to walk around and think, oh my gosh, I've got the blood of so many different people. There's strangers in this room. I kind of want to rush up to them and thank them and hug them, but they're going to think that's strange.
Every drop makes a difference. Tom Hartley, 7 News.
A police chase from one side of Melbourne to the other has come to a crashing end. Officers tailed a stolen Porsche after 4 carjackings across the city. The crime spree started when the driver's accomplice stole a Jeep, called for a tow truck, then stole the truck. A 32-year-old man was slapped with 17 charges.
A family has had a shocking wake-up call after their van burst into flames outside their Gold Coast home. Firefighters worked quickly to put out the blaze as it threatened a ute parked next door. Police are not treating the fire as suspicious.
Another victim of a bizarre car cloning scam has shared her story after 7 News revealed it happened to a former TV identity. The family was preparing to change their number plates when they spotted the copycat.
When Lana Mays received an overdue toll notice in the mail, she knew something wasn't right.
There was lots of tolls that we just, did not do.
By the time a speeding fine had arrived, Lana realised her car had been cloned. The colour, make, model and registration matched, but there were differences.
You can see our sunroof, their car didn't have roof racks, their number plate was a little bit thicker.
She's not the only one caught up in the bizarre scam. 7 News revealing yesterday a former sports broadcaster's car was duplicated.
I'd never heard of it before, but it is apparently not uncommon. They call it cloning.
To prevent it, websites like car sales automatically blur number plates. Lana hadn't posted her car online. Even stranger, her fiancé spotted the clone car being driven around.
He followed it for a little while, he called the cops. They then came across the clone car, abandoned in a car park.
The copy of Lana's is now off the road, but she's still waiting to have the fines and tolls cleared.
Just be aware that there could be another one of your car on the road.
And you may actually be seeing double. Rosanna Kingson, 7 News.
Taylor Swift mania is about to hit Down Under, with the pop star set to inject $1.2 billion into the Victorian economy. Melbourne hotels are preparing for the tourism boom ahead of the singer's 3 sold-out shows this month, with thousands from WA and other states flying in.
There's just 2 weeks until the world's biggest pop star touches down in Melbourne.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Her face already plastered over the city. Hotels preparing for the tourism boom, almost all sold out ahead of Taylor mania.
We're expecting about 70% increase on typical business. That's a few 100,000 people going to walk through the doors for Crown over that weekend.
2 weeks out, hotel occupancy is already at 83%. We're forecasting that will go to around 91%, 92% by the time that she comes to town. Those levels of occupancy and demand are unprecedented.
Around 30% of concert goers are expected to fly in from interstate and overseas.
We're not just getting mum and dad coming in, we're getting the children coming in as well. So we're seeing bigger stays, if you like, and therefore there'll be bigger spends at the hospitality, at the pubs and restaurants.
Hotels across Melbourne are already getting into the Swiftie spirit. Here at the Overload, they're only playing Taylor Swift's music and even naming their cocktails after the pop star.
We're just so excited to embrace this event. She really is an icon, and we're as excited as the fans.
The whole city getting behind the superstar. There's even a boat cruise dedicated to the music icon.
I think it's only going to be Taylor all night. I think this will sell out at 350, so that's what this one can hold. I've got a second vessel over there, so I think we'll probably look at maybe extending that onto that one, so we can have a few more people enjoy the festivities of the night.
Kate Massey, 7 News.
Still to come, the best beach in Australia.
A stretch of coast crowned. Find out which state took out the title. That's next.
Plus, how a wrong turn led an Aussie driver into trouble.
Tech giant Apple releases its first new product in 7 years.
Red Bull brings a little show business to the supercars.
And coming up in Saturday sport, Fremantle swelter through a gruelling session. Which big names return to the track? Plus, whose pooch was crowned top dog at the Eagles?
7 News knows Perth.
Headlines flash by all day.
But to know the news, watch 7 News at 6 o'clock.
And here's why.
It was members of the gang crime squad that arrested him.
Our reporters are newsbreakers.
Are you a victim of their negligence?
With more exclusive reports
that dig deeper
and demand answers.
We commit to travel to wherever the stories happen, even the front line.
Chris Reason from Channel 7 Australia.
As international news unfolds in Europe,
we're live to you at 6 p.m.
breaking down the global issues that matter back home in Perth.
7 News understands.
Our reporters travel from suburb to suburb.
Here in Joondalup
and across our state to bring you the news.
I can confirm
this is the team we trust.
And thank you
for trusting 7 News.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Shocked motorists have been forced to hit the brakes after a car took a wrong turn in Melbourne's southeast. The vehicle was captured driving on the wrong side of a street around 6 last night. The driver eventually realised their mistake, pulling over to the side of the road.
Australia's oldest person has died at the age of 111. Great-grandmother Katarina van der Linden passed away at a residential aged care home in South Australia, surrounded by her family.
Just to watch her mobility and also her sharpness of mind, even at that age, was an inspiration.
Katarina's body will be donated to the University of Adelaide for medical research.
Apple has released its first new product in 7 years, with fans flocking to the flagship store in New York to get their hands on the Vision Pro headsets. The mixed reality headset allows users to watch immersive videos and interact with surroundings, but they will cost you, coming in at over $5,000.
WA has missed out on claiming the title of Australia's best beach. Instead, coming in at 4th place, a beach in regional Victoria has been crowned the winner.
Gippsland is home to some of the country's best beef, the set of a Hollywood film, and now the best beach in Australia.
I mean, if the name doesn't have enough appeal, certainly the beach does.
Squeaky Beach in Gippsland has been named the best out of more than 12,000 spots by Tourism Australia for its beauty, trumping beaches in both WA and Queensland.
Victoria has been the bridesmaid in beaches for a long, long time, and people think it's too cold or too wild. Not everyone wants to dive into a Surfers Paradise surf break or a Manly Bondi, cafe latte set. Squeaky Beach was an absolute standout for its pure and honest beauty.
The picturesque Cove is the most photographed beach at Wilson's Promontory National Park. 700 metres of white sand surrounded by native vegetation and wildlife. And the reason for its name becomes clear as soon as your feet hit the sand.
Squeaky is a bit of a musical symphony.
A popular surf beach in New South Wales took 2nd place. 3rd was Cockle Creek in Tasmania. Sitting in 4th was Madfish Bay in WA. Queensland came in 6th with Cylinder Beach, and the well-known tourism hotspot in Robe, South Australia, Long Beach, came in 8th place.
Australia does have the best beaches in the world, providing governments, state and federal, look after them.
Kathleen O'Connor, 7 News.
Red Bull has unveiled a new era of racing with an incredible season launch today. Racing and airborne stunts fit for a supercar celebration and the team's hopeful new driver. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News.
But first, Anna's back with more sport. And Anna, a big hit out for the Dockers this morning.
Yeah, it was a gruelling session, Ange, but there were promising signs for a host of injured stars. I'll have the details next. Plus, the Eagles crown their champion pooch for 2024. Which pup was top dog? And forget Taylor Swift, the Thornley boy that will have you cheering at this year's Super Bowl. The Dockers were put through their paces in a gruelling session this morning. In promising signs, Sean Darcy continues to build towards round 1, while a pair of injured stars return to full training. Meanwhile, the Eagles swapped footies for fur babies, crowning their top dog for 2024. While the Eagles cooled off by the sea, Freo's pre-season heated up. Big man Sean Darcy continues to up the ante as he comes back from ankle surgery. Darcy played 60 minutes of match sim where he dominated in the ruck. Defender Luke Ryan and small forward Sam Switkowski returned to full training. Ryan rolled his ankle last month while Switkowski has been managing a hamstring complaint. Caleb Sarong was a standout while Jeremy Sharp also impressed. And the Eagles' annual dog race might not stop the nation. But the Stevie Simpson Cup certainly stops West Coast's summer schedule. Coach Adam Simpson entered 4 dogs, little Chewy shaking off the pre-race nerves. But he wasn't up to the pace. Instead, it was AFLW assistant coach and head of academy programs Rowan McHugh's pup Wilbur who was crowned top dog.
We've had a big off season, but last year he was here and I had the wrong strapper. She let him go at the wrong time and it cooked him. So we weren't hopeful, but we were a little bit optimistic.
A shiny new trophy for the cabinet for Wilbur, while the Eagles hope to put a dog of a year behind them. Josh Hazelwood's been called in with Xavier Bartlett rested after one international game for tomorrow's second one-dayer against the West Indies at the SCG. Last night, WA's Josh Inglis grabbed David Warner's old opening role and hit 65 off 43, batting with COVID.
Oh, that sounded big. That sounded huge!
Steve Smith and Cameron Green made unbeaten 70s to chase 232 and beat the Windies by 8 wickets. Bartlett took 4 for 17 on debut, a thrill to play under Smith.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, I've spent pretty much the last 10 years watching him on TV and to now be out there and be captained by him, quite surreal.
They're expecting 25,000 at the SCG tomorrow. Travis Head's also been given time off. And WA is all out for 256 at stumps on day one in their Shield clash against New South Wales. Sam Whiteman made a century. Josh Philippi finished on 52 not out. It took less than 20 overs for the Aussie women to cruise past South Africa in their first one-dayer of the tour.
Nick, and what a catch! Oh, she's a very fine player.
The Proteas reduced to 3 for 9 in Adelaide, bowled out for 105. Beth Mooney with an unbeaten half-century in the 8-wicket win. The Socceroos' heartbreaking Asian Cup defeat could signal the end of an era for Graham Arnold's side. The playing future of several Aussie stars are now on the agenda after Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham captain sealed their fate.
As far as frustrating goes,
to be honest, I don't know what to say too much.
Asian Cup quarter-final, another rankings and salary mismatch.
It's parried away, oh, what a chance!
Arnie's underdogs still controlling, then leading Korea just before half-time.
Good win! 1-0 Australia!
Then the story to follow, that will haunt.
We're up 1-0. We had chances 2-0, 3-0.
And a free header at the back post and a second chance and fired over the top.
Mitch Duke again on 83 minutes.
Oh, what a chance again!
Then 4 minutes into stoppage time.
Oh, penalty, says referee.
Son Heung-min drew panic from Lewis Miller. Hwang Hee-chan.
And he powers it into the back of the net.
And into extra time, where Hwang picked out Miller again, put Son right in range.
Oh, it's a brilliant goal.
A global star winning Aussie hearts by association with Ange at Tottenham broke them this time.
Quite devastating at the moment, quite emotional for all the players and staff.
Arnold now expects to accelerate generational change. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
And the Perth Glory have stretched their unbeaten run after defeating Melbourne City 4-2 overnight. The Glory came from behind twice to clinch the win.
Fresh legs, Anasmo, what a way to mark his debut! Joel Anasmo sends Perth into raptures!
The Glory now face Adelaide United on Friday. An hour-long chat over coffee was how Lewis Hamilton broke the bombshell Ferrari news to Mercedes. Team boss Toto Wolff wasn't completely surprised by the decision.
We got together
for coffee in my place in Oxford. How he framed it to me is perfectly understandable, that he needed a new challenge and that it was maybe the last possibility to do something else.
Mercedes says they'll be bold when it comes to replacing Hamilton's seat in 2025. Tom Brady is human after all. The NFL legend would have liked this tee shot back at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Even the pros had trouble on the iconic course on the California coastline. Aussie Jason Day is 6 shots off the lead at the halfway mark. Live Golf's $600 million man, John Rahm, began life on his new tour with a 5 under 66 in Mexico. Joaquin Niemann broke the magical 60 mark with a 12 under 59.
Catches the ball in the middle of the face. Oh, where did that go? Yeah.
Cameron Smith is 10 shots back at 2 under. The sole Aussie at this year's Super Bowl was so nervous playing junior soccer he wouldn't eat before games. WA's Mitch Wisnowski will run out with over 100 million fans around the world watching his 49ers take on the Chiefs Monday next week. The Thornley punter played in San Francisco's last Super Bowl appearance in 2020.
My mentality was like, don't mess up. Like, I was, scared of the moment, and I think I've sort of found ways to sort of manage that. I think I'll be able to enjoy it, take it all in.
No Australian has ever won an NFL Super Bowl ring. That's all in sport. It's great to see a West Aussie doing so well, so good luck to him.
The best thing to come out of Thornley since Ryan Daniels.
Yeah, he'll love that.
Sure will.
Thanks, Anna. A regional airport has been temporarily transformed into a racetrack for a supercar showcase.
Thousands of fans turned out to see Red Bull launch its new look team in classic Red Bull style.
Arriving in style, tearing up the tarmac and airborne stunts fit for a supercars celebration.
400 kilometres now, down on the ground level, smoke on, and let's have a crack at it.
Unveiling a new look for a new era of racing.
I think it's
go again.
Go Red Bull.
Charlotte.
Bring it on again. 2024.
Wellcamp Airport, just outside of Toowoomba, transformed, a homecoming for Red Bull's newest driver.
I actually flew over from the Toowoomba Airport in town and landed here to bring a plane over about an hour ago. So I flew in. Never would have thought this would have happened. It's a dream come true.
Diehards taking to the tarmac, friends and family getting into the supercars spirit.
I kind of thought 1,000 people might turn up. This is going to be thousands and thousands.
Will Brown is jumping into the hottest seat in motorsport, right into the Red Bull Camaro, replacing and hopefully replicating the success of the legendary Shane Van Gisbergen.
I feel really comfortable, to be honest. I'm just excited now. I'm not really feeling the pressure, but really excited to get into the season.
There are high hopes for Will Brown's Red Bull debut. The town here is pumping and they won't have to wait very long. Round 1 at Bathurst is just a number of weeks away.
But it will be without a big name. Reigning champ and Brown's former teammate Brodie Kostecki will sit out after a reported rift with Erebus.
It's going to be a huge loss if he's not on the grid, and I hope it all works out.
I just hope to see him back soon, and look, I want to race the best.
Toowoomba thinks the best is already here. Time will tell if that's true. Ned Balm, 7 News.
Finally, some relief from the heat as a cool change hits Perth, but it's set to heat up again. Find out when next.
Plus, get your tickets ready for tonight's Saturday Lotto draw.
Taking a look at the weather now. A southerly change has seen temps finally drop across Perth, but this morning was warm, reaching 32.5 just before midday. Looking interstate, reaching 38 tomorrow in Melbourne, Sydney sunny and 32, partly cloudy and 32 for Brisbane. Back in the west, soaring into the 40s for parts of the Kimberley and Pilbara, windy for Geraldton and 27. 27 the top 2 for Bunbury, cool and cloudy for Albany, early showers in Esperance and 29 the top for Kalgoorlie. There's a strong wind warning for local waters tomorrow with 3 metre seas. And for Perth, a cooler 27 tomorrow with clouds clearing, dropping to 15 tonight. Sunny and 28 Monday, warming up Tuesday to 32. Hot Wednesday, soaring to 38. Thursday, a scorcher too, 41 on Friday, and the heat will hang around next weekend.
And now it's time for Saturday Lotto draw 4439. The winning numbers are 23, 11, 29, 3, 19, 22, and the subs are 30 and 20.
That's 7 News for now. Thanks for joining us.
I'll be back with evening updates. For the latest news, head to 7news.com.au. Stay with us for Border Security.